Okay, we'll move forward with roll call. Carolyn Schofield,
Here.
Ed Lopez,
Here.
Jen Dirks,
Here.
Tom Summers,
Here.
Gary Johns,
Here.
Matthew Vasilakis.
Here.
Let's see, Secretary Webb
Here.
and Vice Chair Hammond.
Here.
Oh, see David Hare is in the attendee section. Let me promote him. Hey, David.
Hi, I'm here.
Perfect, just in time for roll call. Thank you for joining us.
Good to be here. Sorry I'm late.
No worries. Vice Chair, we have a quorum.
Okay, great. Do we have any public comment on non-agenda items?
Last time I checked, no. Let me see. No, Vice Chair, no public comments for today.
Okay, and I know you've sent out the agenda to all of us. Does anyone have any items that need to be changed or withdrawn or reordered? If that's the case, do we need a motion to approve the agenda or can we just jump in?
Could just jump in.
Okay, it looks like updates are next from our CEO. So Mr. Kernahan,
Thank
we'll
you.
pass it over
Thank
to
you.
you.
Glad I could join you all this afternoon. I committed in the early going, I would come and visit with you all every so often, periodically, or whenever you invited me. And today, just to share some updates on where we are on certain things to hopefully stimulate you all thinking and actually to ask for your assistance in an area that you could provide some valuable feedback to us. Without getting into all the details of the proceeding that occurred at the California Public Utilities Commission, we actually had a ruling at the CPUC go in our favor last week. It was a big issue to us. It related to rates and impacts from SDG&E, and if they had succeeded, it would have really crippled us in a way of making us uncompetitive rate-wise, which would not be a good thing. And it was really not good policy. And so we argued that at the commission, along with our state association and the other local CCA, CEA. So that was a cause for victory on our part because it was really the right thing for the CPUC to do. They actually, the preliminary hearing went our way. Then there was a subsequent hearing, a subsequent proposed decision that went the other way. And then at the 11th hour, the final decision went our way. So it was like a roller coaster up and down for a period of a week or so. And lots of locals from the San Diego area took up the phone and did some calling, and we had a lot of local support. And we thank everybody for that. We'll just let you know we are continuing now to implement our staffing plan. When I came, we developed a staffing plan to take us through the next 18 to 24 months. There's about 22 people slated for that staffing. It will be on a upward curve of adding a couple every month for the next couple of years. And this is where I would like to ask for your help. We're very interested in getting a local talent on our payroll. We want to have a diverse payroll that's reflective of the communities that we serve. And so we'll be posting the flyers on our website, and we would ask you if you know of anywhere, if you're in any organizations or anybody that might have some folks that are interested, please let them know. So we'd like to have a lot of applications, and we'd like to be able to, as I say, pick some local talent if at all possible. We have added, I think I reported to you before, Sebastian is now a permanent employee, and so is Cody. She's our Chief Operating Officer, and Sebastian is our project manager, program manager. And so we're glad to be able to retain the services of both of those folks. We've also added Director of Legislative and Regulatory Affairs. She comes from a background of CCAs and working with other CCAs. She's a lawyer by trade, but she'll be working with us and coordinating our regulatory consultants as we go forward. And we have hired a power resources manager. You can imagine our portfolio is going to grow as we bring on more customers, particularly when the residential class hits us. So we have to have a robust, diverse, green portfolio. And so we've been working on that, and we needed someone to manage that group. He'll be here August 8th. He also comes from a background of having worked at one of the CCAs up north, and then was working at the Energy Authority, which does a lot of business on the other side of the table with the CCAs. So we're glad to have him. We're out for a chief financial officer now. That's on the street now, and the other one is an account, an interface to large customer accounts and whatnot. It's a customer service kind of a person. So make sure you take a look at those, because they'll be changing periodically as we go through the needs that we have. And so we would appreciate you getting the word out with us, because we want to make sure folks have a knowledge and opportunity of what we're doing over here. So we appreciate that. The board actually did was actually a kind of a milestone. It was to adopt the initial rates for SDCP. This is that we're now going to be starting service for the first time. So we didn't have rates before. Now we're getting prepared so that when we buy the energy and transport it and sell it and bill it, we have rates to bill it with. So we're kind of excited about that. They're patterned after SDG&E's rates in terms of the way they're structured, the tiers and the summer winter divide. They're structured the same, so there's no confusion on the part of customers who are switching over. The only thing that would be different is the rate itself. So that also helps in integrating it with the billing system. They don't have to build in a whole new bunch of software to accommodate different rate tariff designs. We did it as a part of the adoption. They adopted two rates. One we're calling Power On, and the other one we're calling Power 100. And as you could probably imagine, the Power 100 is the 100% green rate. The Power On, however, is about 55% renewables. We're kind of proud of that because it's fairly high as base rates go. And interestingly enough, for the average residential customer, there's only about 3% difference between the 100 rate and the Power On rate for average usage. So it's not a huge premium that needs to be paid to have folks do their part. That's not a big penalty it's not really a penalty. It costs more to increase it, but I was a bit surprised at how low it actually was. One of the things we do is, or not we do, but our customers constantly do, and we owe it to them, is they want to compare our rates to SDG&E rates. And we had to actually defer a little bit on that at the board meeting, and we can say that our rates are competitive, but we did not do a direct comparison, partly because as a result of the PUC hearing the week before and other PUC cases that are coming down the pike, SDG&E is planning on changing their rates, probably raising the rates, but at least changing their rates. And we wanted to wait, and so we committed to that should happen in the next couple of months. And so what we committed to the board to do is when those rate changes happen, then we will sit down and take another look at where our rates are and theirs and do the comparisons as best we can at that time. Because those will be the rates that will go on for, the other ones are only going to be good for another month or two. The other reason that it's a little bit difficult to compare the rates is our product, our base product, we think is superior to theirs. We're at 50% renewables and 5% greenhouse gas free. And according to the power content label that they publish every year, the last one they published, they were 31% renewable. So you can see we're way far ahead of them in terms of what our base product is. So it's a little hard to do that comparison, but we will do it, and we would ask people to recognize that they're really getting a much better product. Let's see. We also did a comparison, by the way. We did do a comparison of the other CCAs, or some of the other CCAs in the state. We did a comparison of about a dozen of the other community choice aggregators in terms of average rates. And of the 12, we were in the about the middle, but a couple of notches below on the lower rate side. So we're actually in the upper half in terms of the low rates that we have compared to others. So we thought that was another test as to whether or not our services are competitive with the surrounding CCAs in California, and we certainly are. Last of all is that the notices have gone out. We're required to provide 2 notices to customers when we start service, and phase 1 is starting in March. Hooray, hooray. And we have started sending notices out to inform those customers that they will be transferred over in March for service from us. Phase 1, by our definition, is really the governmental entities and what we call the quasi-governmental entities, and those are things that are government-like. School districts, for example, are in that category. Cities facilities are in those categories. Universities are in that category. So that's phase 1. There will also be 2. There's also a requirement to provide 2 notices after we commence services. So customers have 4 opportunities to get notified. We're actually in this class, we're actually reaching out, since there's not that many in this class, to them on a personal basis too. Make a personal contact and let them know what's coming and answer questions and things like that. So, we're kind of excited about doing that. That's going to get harder and harder as we go along, because obviously when we get to phase 3, there's 750,000 or so customers in there, and there's no way we can talk to all of them individually. So we're starting easy and giving personal service to the extent we can all the way through. So I guess that's kind of what we've been up to on our end. Been very busy, been very rewarding, because we've had some successes and we're making progress and we're on schedule. And so with that, I would, if the chair or vice chair permits, if there are any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer.
Thank you. And Chair Price has joined us as well, so he can take it from here.
Oh, Eddie.
Yeah, if you don't mind, Vice Chair, you can continue. I'm not feeling well.
Okay. I hope you feel better. Are there any questions? Carolyn?
Question, yes. What's the composition of Power 100? Is that all renewables, or is there also some greenhouse gas free in that one?
I believe you actually asked me a question I should know, and I don't know the specific answer for sure. I believe we refer to it as 100% renewable. So I don't believe we're planning on any greenhouse gas, which is, for those who don't know, greenhouse gas free is basically nuclear, which we're not going to have in the portfolio, and large hydro. And we're not planning nuclear for sure, and we are identifying it as 100% renewable.
Okay, great. And I also wanted to know if there's one sort of press release type event that's going to happen. Is it primarily going to be city by city, or what's coming up?
Well, we're going to try to do all of the above. We're going to try to do everything we can think of to get the word out, including specific city events. For example, maybe go to a city council member or assist our board member who's on the city council, make an announcement presentation, however they would choose to do that, so that we can do that. Talk to and contact anyone we can think of. We have a regular plan. I don't have it here in front of me, but we are reaching out. We're looking at training, trying to train people so they can become conversant in what we're doing and actually can reach out to their friends and neighbors as well. So that it'll be quite an effort. And I can get you the details if you all would like. We can provide it to the whole group in case you want to see what all we have going on. Not all of it's final yet because we're talking about March or just before March, but we've been spending a lot of time with civilian, our consultants and others trying to map out the best way to do that. So, Sebastian, can you provide them with some information?
Yeah.
I should know that, but it's still kind of fluid, and I just don't have it in my head yet.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I'm happy to provide that. I also just wanted to add a little bit more detail to that, Bill, is that part of this training that Bill was talking about is our marketing team is developing what we're calling a Clean Power Academy. This is going to be an informational session with you all, as well as with member city staff, to dive deep into what is SDCP, what are we offering, etc. So all of you are armed with the right information, the correct information, and from there you're able to take that information and translate it into your different communities. We recognize that we are different, and there's different ways of speaking, per se in each community. So that will be. We'll be reaching out to you all very, very soon. So please be on the lookout for your emails on that, because we want to make sure that you guys have the right information as we start out for phase one. So more details on that, and yes, I'm happy to share that Excel file that you were referencing, Bill, with our ideas.
And thank you for mentioning that. I should have mentioned we're going to engage you folks as well, because you're a part of our team, and we want to provide you with the information that you need, and then hopefully you go out and spread the word also. So we're counting on that. And I neglected to mention, I apologize.
Great. Sure, we'll be happy to. I see. Thank you for that question, Carolyn. David, go ahead.
Yeah, I had a couple questions. Can you describe again who is in phase one?
It's governmental entities, cities, city facilities, fire stations, police stations, water treatment facilities, that sort of thing. And what we're calling quasi-governmental. I mean, in most cases, you might think of them as governmental, but you might not, like universities, for example, their campuses and whatnot. The military, there's a large military presence throughout the area. And so those facilities are all considered in are in phase three. Water treatment facilities, help me, Sebastian, we went over the list a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
That's the main categories.
Yeah, this would be the main ones. It's a mix between obviously municipal, state government, and federal government would be the simplest way to put it.
And to specify, I believe it's 698 total accounts in that first batch starting March 1st. Is that correct?
I think that's right.
Yeah.
So it's a small rollout, and then we'll continue to add more and more customers.
Yeah, well, there's actually a sort of a science that most CCAs, the bigger ones at least, do it that way for a couple of reasons. First is you don't want to slug the IOU billing system with, in our case, 800,000 customers and out if there are problems. And so you're better off taking a smaller bite, so that if there are problems with the billing system or sending, the back end of what we call the back end of the operation, you don't affect as many people. And secondly, the people that you're affecting, if they're government, or if they're us, if they're our members, we're not as likely to get as much blowback. And that's got a little inside baseball there. But so we purposely chose this group to sort of work out the kinks, and then we will take it to the next level, which is the residential, the commercial industrial customers, who are the next batch, account for I think it's 45% or thereabouts of our total energy. They're only about 25% of the number of customers, but and then the residential class is obviously a huge percent of the number of customers, but it's only about 30% or 35% of the total kilowatt hour sales, something like that. So the dichotomy is the commercial or fewer customers, a lot more, but they use less.
Yeah, and when did you say the power manager is starting with SDCP?
The resource manager is starting August the 8th, about 2 weeks. August, what am I talking
Yes.
about? Good catch. Good catch. You better show up before August. Exactly.
February 8th. Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
And one last question before you go to Tom. This is a two-part, looking forward to 2022. Have other cities in the region expressed any interest in joining San Diego Community Power? And will San Diego Community Power have the capacity at some point? What would that be to take on additional cities?
Okay. Well, we have heard out there rumors that there is interest from various sectors. We've had no one officially approach us. What I have been telling those people, and I think the board is of the same mind, although we haven't developed a policy, there's a whole political, economic discussion that needs to take place on whether we add members or not. Whether or not we do that, the timing really isn't very good for us right now. We sort of have our hands full getting up and running and getting the training wheels off and proving we can do it. And then if people come and say, hey, we like that, then we can talk. We don't want to get diverted in too many directions, because we do have a very limited staff. But I fully expect that interest and those discussions will continue. And the board, we're planning a strategic planning session in April. And one of the topics will be under what conditions and what criteria would we entertain new entrants or not. That's a policy decision. The board could say no. But I've been in a previous CCA that I was with actually had a policy, and the main thrust of the policy was it does no harm to the existing participants. You can't get in on the margin. You have to be a full player kind of thing. And they required a study. The entering entity had to do a study to show, and they had to pay for it to show that was true. And so there's a lot of discussion that needs to take place. So we have not developed a policy.
Okay.
But we do hear that there is an interest. And my view is the timing isn't quite right. Give us a couple more months, to focus, keep our eye on the tiger here, that we have to get up and running, and successfully so. So then we can start looking around at other things.
Thanks.
Great questions, David. I don't see any more hands raised, but Carolyn?
I just have one related question to the last comment. So where does the County of San Diego fit in? Because they are making a lot of moves forward in the next couple weeks in climate planning. So how would is there a chance that we would ever join together, or might that work?
Well, I would say there's no prohibition from that happening. I mean, they're an entity that is eligible for CCA creation, and they can partner with, just like our 5 members did, with whoever they want. Yes, they could be candidates. They could also do it on their own. They would be fairly large, or they could do it with themselves and smaller partners. I've heard some discussions informally about that kind of an arrangement too. So I think all of those options are open to them, you know, if they want to do that. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
David mentioned Tom had a question. Oh, go ahead, Tom.
Yeah. Hi, Bill, and thanks for coming on. You mentioned that when the phase 3 is completed and we have the big ball of customers, 750 to 800,000.
Mhm.
And I'm assuming that phase 1 is just a tiny fraction of that, numerically speaking, but I was curious as to what share of the overall energy pie they represent, and are any of them NEM customers who might be generating as well as consuming? Like, I'm thinking in particular school districts.
I'll answer the first part, and believe it or not, Sebastian's our NEM expert, so I'm going to let him take. Oh, I know the answer, but I'm going to let him do it because he's the one that's been working the hardest to make sure that those customers are accommodated. But the first part of the question, I believe phase 1 is around 7%, if I recall, of the total load. It's about 7%, less than 10%. And then the NEM, you want to answer that, Andrew? Sebastian.
No worries. Yeah, Tom, and
I have a nephew that looks just like. I have a nephew that looks just like.
Oh, no way. Well, on the NEM question, I have been learning very quickly about NEM as well. We've been working very closely with our partners over at Calpine and also Pacific Energy Advisors. The approach that we've taken, and my apologies if my internet is a little bit unstable. The approach that we've taken is we have decided to move all NEM accounts to phase 3. And there are 2 reasons for that. One is that obviously the majority of NEM customers are residential, and it allows, and then the second reason is that it allows a more seamless transition with SDG&E's billing system. So it's really more of making sure that there's less disruption on the customer side and also making it easier for us administratively. So those would be the 2 reasons for that, Tom.
Thanks, Sebastian. Thanks for your new job title too. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Carnahan. Appreciate the update.
Well, thank you, and I'll be back soon.
Okay.
So I have to go to another call right now, but good luck, everybody.
Okay, so it looks like the next item on our agenda is approval of ad hoc committee to update work plan for 2021. Sebastian, did you want to shed some light on this?
Yes, Vice Chair, and I'm going to go ahead and stop my video. Maybe that can improve my internet connection. Alrighty. So we're in a new calendar year, and we had adopted an initial work plan for the year 2020. At the December meeting, I had discussed the development of the 2021 work plan. After some more thought to it, and given that we have a full year to do amazing and great things, my recommendation to the committee is to set up an ad hoc committee that would meet with me and develop ideas, potential projects that the CAC could do and assist the board in our efforts for this year. How the setup of this ad hoc would work is, since it is non-Brown Act compliant, there cannot be a quorum of the CAC. So there can only be a max of 4 members that can join. I do also want to note that there is a time commitment to this. I understand we're all very busy, so I want to make sure that this is acknowledged. I would like to start setting up the first meeting next week, obviously, so we can get to work soon thereafter. So that's the basic gist. Hopefully, if meetings go well, we can come back next month, or likely in March, with an actual developed work plan that we can use as a guide. So I'll pause right there, see if there are any questions, but like I said, can only be a max of 4 people in this ad hoc committee.
You did mention the time commitment. Do you anticipate this ad hoc committee to be meeting monthly for an hour, 2 hours? Can you elaborate a little bit more on what you have envisioned?
Yeah, I would say twice a month, and depending on how we're doing, I would say, just to be safe, reserve a couple of hours for those 2 meetings.
Okay, does anyone have any questions for Sebastian about this? Today, should we solely approve an ad hoc committee, or should we also have 4 people committed to this committee? I'm assuming the latter, since it sounds like you want to start meeting soon.
Right, ideally, have 4 people volunteer, or less. Really, it could be less than that. There's just that set maximum.
Okay, I see Gary has his hand raised.
Yes. This sounds to me like something we should have a motion, and I would be glad to make a motion that we form an ad hoc committee to update our work plan.
What I would, if I may, Vice Chair, if CAC member Gary can amend the motion to also include, the number of people that will be part of this ad hoc committee as part of one motion, that would be appreciated.
I had that same thought. Should we specifically discuss naming those people, and then maybe Gary, would you want to make an amendment to the motion to name those, so we have one motion for both items?
Let me just make an amendment that the committee shall consist of 4 members, and that upon approval of the motion, we will appoint those 4 members at this meeting. How's that?
I'm good with that. I don't know if you want to specify no more than 4 in case there's only 3 interested, without knowing the interest, but we do know the maximum will be 4 because of the Brown Act.
Okay, I amend my amendment to read no more than 4 members from the previous statement of specifically 4 members.
Okay.
I'll second that motion.
Second by David. Is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries, unless Sebastian, you needed an individual roll call.
I think it's okay.
Okay. Do we have any volunteers to be on the ad hoc committee?
I volunteer for the ad hoc committee.
Okay, thank you, Chair Price. That's 1. Tom, oh, Carolyn as well.
I will also volunteer.
Gary,
So
I can if nobody else wants the fourth, but if someone else wants it, by all means. Last opportunity for that fourth spot.
you guys don't fight over it, please. One at a time.
Okay, I'm happy to take that spot.
Okay,
It sounds
Vice
like there's
Chair.
no other anyone. Okay.
Can you repeat the names for me, if you don't mind?
Yes, we have Chair Price, Carolyn, Gary, and myself.
Okay, perfect. And as always, just a friendly reminder that if you have any ideas for the 4 members of the Adhoc Committee, feel free to email them, obviously acknowledging any Brown Act limitations, SEER meetings, et cetera. But just because you're not in the committee, we obviously want to hear from you as well. So perfect. Thank you so much, Vice Chair.
Okay, thank you. Item 7 on our agenda, approval of 2021.
I apologize.
Oh, sorry.
It's Secretary Webb. I have a quick clarification because I'm type as fast as you talk, but I heard Chair Price and then I heard Tom and then I heard Gary or Carolyn and then Gary. Is that?
Tom laughed, but I don't think that was a volunteer.
Oh, I see.
Remark from him.
Tom. Thanks for the clarification. Apologies.
Yes, no problem. Okay, so item 7, approval of 2021 CAC regular meeting schedule, and I'll kick it to Sebastian.
Yeah, this is just a formality, really. Last year we set the 2020 regular schedule, and this year we have to set the 2021. My recommendation would be to continue the same schedule as last year, which would be the second Friday of the month at 1 p.m. And any meeting that would fall out of that schedule, then it would become a special meeting as today's meeting is. So nothing substantial, just a minor check mark.
Does anyone have any opposition to keeping the same schedule? You want to raise your hand if you have a conflict that has come up? Not seeing any.
And
okay, great.
Yeah, and my apologies, Vice Chair. Also just want to add, if obviously at any point during the year we're busy individuals, the second Friday doesn't work, we can always amend it and make sure we're accommodating everyone.
Okay, great. Thanks, Sebastian. Moving on to item 8, our standing item, discussion of political potential agenda items for Board of Director meetings. Does anybody have?
Excuse me, Vice Chair. Just want to make sure that the 2021 regular meeting schedule is approved. I don't think we need a vote, but I guess just for formality's sake, we can do one if you'd like.
Sure. Would you like a motion first?
Yes, please.
Would someone like to make a motion to approve our 2021 meeting schedule?
I move approval.
I'll second.
Motion by David, second by
Anna.
Secretary Webb. Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries, and we'll keep our same meeting schedule this year.
Thank you.
Okay, now we'll talk about item 8. Does anybody have items you'd like to suggest that Eddie will bring to the next board meeting to discuss?
I would just like Eddie to tell them that the new website looks terrific.
Okay. If you haven't checked it out, sdcommunitypower.com or .org, is Sebastian?
.org, correct.
.org. The website does look good. Okay, I'm not seeing any hands raised for any items. All right. Are we ready to move on to item 9, committee member announcements? Does anyone have any announcements to share?
I do.
Okay, go for it, Matt.
Just for folks that are in San Diego, the city is going to be hosting, various council officers are hosting community forums on the city's energy franchise agreements. So this is the other side of the coin that we're on, the energy distribution side within the city of San Diego. So yeah, there's going to be one this Saturday at 1 p.m. online with council office, Shanilo Rivera, District 9. So we're just encouraging folks to go, attend, learn, provide feedback, and just engage with the city on this process. So that's it.
And I did want to specify that Councilmember Elo Rivera's office, he is hosting 3 of them. He has said that if residents not in District 9 want to attend and participate, they are welcome. District 1 has 2 announced, and then the franchise agreements will also be seen at the next 2 City of San Diego Environment Committee meetings, which are taking place January 28th and February 25th at 1 p.m. So there are currently a handful of ways to provide feedback at those meetings, and likely more council meeting, district meetings that will be scheduled in the coming weeks. And Gary, see your hand raised.
Yes, I should have announced this last meeting, so I'm kind of trying to backfill it. But in December, the Encinitas City Council passed a climate emergency resolution, and a number of us were, speaking in favor of it, and it feels like it's part and parcel of our work with the SDCP.
Great, thanks for sharing that update. And I did want to invite everyone to the upcoming Climate Hub and San Diego Green New Deal Alliance event, which is in partnership with the newly formed San Diego Labor, Environmental, and Community Coalition, which will be February 23rd. It will be talking about jobs in a green economy. And so just wanted to share that information. A link will be available next week on the Climate Hub website. Are there any other announcements? Gary, your hand's still raised, but okay.
I think I saw David raise his hand.
Oh, I was just going to tell Gary
Sorry.
that I wanted to tell Gary and the rest of the committee that because Encinitas took the initiative to declare an emergency, the city of La Mesa at its last council meeting directed the Sustainability Commission to consider wording for a emergency declaration. So we're expecting to see it come back to the city council in late February, early March.
Awesome.
Very exciting. Thanks for sharing, David. Any other updates? Carolyn?
Yeah, so now I have to add, the city of Chula Vista is starting meetings this week on our emergency declaration as well. So we're really excited about it. Yeah.
Very cool. And thank you both all for your leadership that's helping push those cities forward with those initiatives. Okay, last call. Any other updates? Not seeing any. Sebastian, anything else to add?
No, just it's a brand new year in brand new administration. But I am very excited for this year for SDCP. I think as the organization keeps building and we keep adding more staff, at least for me personally, it just becomes more surreal. You guys know I've been in this space for, with you guys for a little while now. So to see this come from an idea to now an actual entity, it's amazing. And so I'm thinking about programming opportunities. I'm thinking about what we can offer to our commercial customers, our residential customers, as soon as possible. We obviously are working hard to walk on our 2 feet and stay there. But I also would like SDCP to move on programming opportunities, at least, start talking about them now and then have an idea of what those will be a little bit later on. So I'm excited. I hope you're excited as well. And I can't thank you enough for volunteering for us. It allows us to continue to be rooted to our communities, to our advocates, and just very thankful.
Well, thank you. We appreciate all the work that you are doing and your team, and I'm very excited for this year. I think it's very exciting to see that commercial customers are launching in 6 weeks or so. It's something we've been advocating for 10 years. It's finally here, and yeah, feeling very hopeful about the positive impact San Diego Community Power is going to make on the region. So thank you all. Eddie, hope you feel better, and we'll catch you guys all next month.
Thank you. Nice job. Nice job, Vice Chair. Beautiful job. Thank you, everyone.
Yes.
Hope you feel better,
Thank you.
Eddie.
Bye.
Have a good weekend, everyone.
Yeah.
Yes, goodbye, everyone. Good meeting.
Toodaloo.